Okay, so I'm going to explain the War of 1812. But before I begin the War of 1812, I'm going to explain who were the leaders of it, and what caused it, and what happened before it. So we'll go back to 1783. That when the American Revolutionary War officially ended. Um, and we won the American Revolution War. The British recognized our independence, but since then, for example, in 1803, we bought the Louisiana territory for 15 million bucks. That was the Louisiana Purchase from Napoleon Bonaparte of France, and so sorry now I just want to explain that because that kind of not lead exactly, but kind of lead to how the War of 1812 started, or what the events that happened in the War of 1812. Um, so the War of 1812 started in 1812, and the president at the time was the fourth president, James Madison, and the king of the British Empire. That was the War 1812 about pretty much versus the U.S. and the British Empire and native tribes that the British was supporting. Um, on the British side, their leader was King George the Third, but there was kind of a problem with King George the Third. He was also the king during the American Revolution War, but during the War of 1812, he was sick. I guess he had some kind of illness, so his son, George the Fourth, which would become the king, um, was pretty much in charge and giving orders. Now what caused the War of 1812? It pretty much three things that caused the War of 1812. Um, Number one is because France and the British still in a war um, during the Napoleonic Wars, and and we were trading with France, and the British stopped us from trading with France, and and just not destroying boats, but stealing our boats, stealing our sailors, forced them to join into the British Navy. And also another thing that we were fighting with native tribes, especially in Florida, which belonged to Spain at this time, but we were invading Florida, and we were fighting with the native tribes and Native Americans there, and the British were helping them. And the third reason, and I think that the main reason why the War of 1812 started is because we wanted to invade Canada. You see, the third president, Thomas Jefferson, before James Madison, I think he got the plane to invade Canada, but he didn't end up doing it. So James Madison had that plane to invade Canada. Now, then this Canada is part of the British Empire. So, but then once the War of 1812 officially started, I think in around July or June of 1812, and overall, this what happened in the War of 1812. I'm not gonna go into bigger details. I can imagine me doing another video doing making better details, explaining more details of the War of 1812. But right now, I'm going to explain some of it, but not all of it, barely even most of it. Probably half of it, I guess, or like the more removable ones. But anyways, the thing is about this war is that at the time the British was at war with France, and so they didn't send their like most powerful army here. So I thought we were winning, I guess you can say. But the problem is, the British were still helping the Native Americans, and so the Native Americans were fighting with us. So not only we were talking the British or fighting with the British, the most powerful country on earth, then, but we also fighting with native. So this war it was little messy and stressful for us. But the real problem, but hold on, sorry. Now a couple Daniels was in here, like introduction, oh, president, future president was in here, like introduction, the seventh president, and William Henry Harrison, which will become the ninth president. William Henry Harrison, he used to serve in the military, but he retired. But when the War of 1812 started, he got back into the military and fought back against the native and the British. And a famous example was in October of 1813 when there was this battle between us, the natives, and the British, and with William Henry Harrison, we won that battle. But now we'll talk about more the serious events of the War of 1812. Most notably, or one of the most notably, is when it is in August of 1814, because the British they were going to invade Washington D.C. and after defeating our soldiers, they marched into Washington D.C. and burned the White House down. They burned the Department of War down. They burned everything down. It and the only time that the White House was ever burned down to the ground. And at the last time a foreign invader or anybody have ever invaded the U.S. Capitol. Ever since, no one have invaded the U.S. Capitol. But James Madison and his wife Dolly was able to escape, and now I apparently before Dolly got out, that James Madison's wife got out of the White House, she got her guard to get this George Washington portrait, so they grabbed the portrait and left. So so James Madison, Dolly, his wife, and the George Washington portrait were all able to escape alive, and the British take control of the capital, Washington D.C., for about a day or two. But then a violent storm came, we think a tornado, and destroyed, pretty much disabled their army, and so they retreat. Now the other serious event happened about a month later, not a month later, but half a month later, on September 11th, 1814. Where the British had their ships at Baltimore, which is like a military base of ours, and we were defending it. And the British, they just start bomb sailing Baltimore, and our soldiers, they won't give up that easy, because here's the thing: if the British destroy that base or conquer that base, they pretty much won the war. So that's why soldiers were fighting so hard. And this battle, it was called the Battle of Baltimore, lasted for about 2-3 days, and finally the British surrender, or well, give up, I guess I can say. And the British faced around 44 deaths, and while we faced about 20 to 25 deaths. So we did overall won the Battle of Baltimore, but barely, because the base was damaged, and we lost a couple of soldiers, and the flag it was damaged. And there was someone on the ship, and he saw the explosions happened, and when the smoke cleared, he saw the flag, and he pretty much watched the what called on it? the national anthem. So now we have changed it about 100 years later, but it pretty much was the beginning or the start of it, you can say. Now later on in 1815 or before 1815, the U.S. and British they both agreed to sign the peace treaty and end this war. So they did, but before the news hit the U.S., like letting everybody know that the war was over, the war was still technically going on because I think on January 8, 1815, even though they signed the treaty, Andrew Jackson with a couple Native Americans fought the British at the Battle of New Orleans. And Andrew Jackson, he's a Daniel, he actually crushed the British at the battle. But then was the War of 1812 finally ended in 1815, and we lost about 15 to 20,000 Americans. And the British lose about, I think about 10,000 soldiers. So, the War of 1812, we look at it, you can say we won or the British won, but you can tell that no one really won this war. Like, on one hand, the British, they were able to defend Canada. We weren't able to take over Canada, so we failed at that. So they were able to defend Canada, and we lost more lives than they did. Like more soldiers, more civilians, and the British had complete control of Canada still. While they destroy they got Washington D.C. on fire. So you can say the British won, but at the same time they were invading us and they failed to invade us. But I don't know. You can say we won, they won, maybe both of us won, but you can definitely say that no one really won the War of 1812. Now, if you ask me, I would say we overall did won the War of 1812, but that's just my opinion. You can have your own opinion, of course. And just post in the comments. We will not exactly talking, but mentioning that we watched the War of 1812, and I can't agree and stuff. But maybe he or she is watching this video. But anyways, that is for this video. I know this video is short, and I know I didn't do a good job at explaining the War of 1812. I mean, I wasn't thinking straight. I didn't get my words right. I didn't explain much of it, so I'm sorry for not explaining it enough or explaining it perfectly or better. But I can imagine me making a video sooner or later, and talking about it then, but talk about it with more and fix the errors I make in this video. The work I did with the American Revolution War, I later on fixed the errors I did that video, and I'm kind of thinking of making another video to fix those errors of that one. But anyways, I will definitely make another video talk about the War of 1812 and fixing the errors on this one. But for now, you just gonna be stuck with this video. But anyways, thank you for watching. Thank you for watching or comment. I don't know what you did, but I don't care. Thank you for 278 subscribers. That's crazy to me that I'm so close to 280 subscribers. My goal is probably 300. I reach before the end of the year, but I'm not gonna be one of those people, YouTubers that are setting goals. I'm just saying it would be nice to reach 300 before the end of the year or the end of summer. But anyways, Thank you so much for supporting this channel. God bless you all. And I will fix those on this video soon. I promise. God, but yeah, God bless you all.